Hi, everybody. Let's make sure everything is working. Okay. Getting a lot of calls, getting a lot of messages. So let's make sure everything is working so I can share everything with you from all of our contacts on this very sad day. Uh, we are, it is a very sad day. This is September 11th, 2025. We're burning the midnight oil, and I went by a university today, and they had hundreds of flags out. Hundreds, probably, yeah, it was hundreds of flags representing those that fell on September 11th so many years ago. So let's make sure it looks like everything's working. We are at day 1,866 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and his life was taken from him brutally. It was brutally taken from him after he was targeted and retaliated against by his own leadership. They were in on it. They were absolutely in on it all the way up to General Mealy, okay? All the way up. This was political. Richard was a political hit. And I think that's important to understand on a day like today, after um, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. And of course, the political hit on 9/11, on September 11th, so many years ago. Um, so let's really get into everything. So what happens? Why do things like this happen? You know, as a Christian, a lot of people say, why does God let things like this happen? Um, and it's like God doesn't do these things. I guess he lets them happen because he's sovereign. But we are in communion with him, right? He wants communion with us. That was the whole point of creating us. He wanted a relationship, and that means that uh, we have to learn good and evil, right? And we have to keep away from the evil. There were was that tree, right? The tree of good and evil. Um, and so this is everything is working out in his time and in his order. And I think it's really separating, right? The sheep from the goats. He's separating the sheep from the goats, those who choose to have him to be their God, right? What is the chief end of man is to uh, honor and um, worship God, absolutely, and enjoy him forever, right? Uh, you have to choose that he is a God. We can't be God. He's God, right? And I think that's really a very important point because those that um, choose the evil, they want to be God, and it never works out good. It always turns out to be evil. It always turns out to be a spiral down into a hellscape, to death. And so the battle from the very beginning, from the Garden of Eden, that decision is, do you want good or do you want evil, or you want the knowledge of good and evil, right? And what are you going to pick? Are you going to make a deal with the devil, right? To enjoy um, fraud and extortion and um, really the theft of wealth, wealth. Um, and what does it lead to? It always leads to a hellscape and to death. People get all this un unlawful situation, and then they think be happy, it'll solve their problems or whatever, and then it never does. It never does. So this has been a problem since the beginning of time. And the the point that we want to make today, and first and foremost, is we want to give our condolences to Charlie Kirk's family, who, being Christians, they're part of our Christian family and allies in um, law and order, accountability, justice, uh, making America great again, right? Making America safe again, making America healthy again, uh, making America pro family, right? Pro family. The family is always attacked because the family is the institution of God. Okay, it is it's not the state. It's not a school system or um, a legal system. It is the family. That is the institution of God. And so that's why it's always under attack, because the evildoers really hate God. And so of course they're going to attack the institution, and they're going to um, attack the God-given definitions um, of truth, right? Of truth. So that's why you see just lies upon lies upon lies upon lies, and trying to deceive and deception and deceive and deception and fraud and theft. And theft is the way the evildoers get it is through fraud, right? So uh, we just want to really say how sad we are um, for this family. And we ask God to hedge this family with his angels, with his strongest angels, you know, angels like the Archangel Michael. Um, just hedge them and give them peace and joy in their family, to confuse the evildoers, right? Because they want to bring misery, they want to bring unhappiness and misery, and the gnashing of the teeth that they have, they want to bring to others. And so we really pray that God will hedge this family so that they can absolutely uh, confuse evildoers and have joy and peace in their life. So, and then, of course, justice. We pray for justice. Uh, justice gives comfort. And so, if we want to pray for comfort for this family, then we need to also, it's our duty to seek justice. And we feel, of course, that in our son's case, there is no peace, there is no comfort without justice, that accountability. And so we need to look in to what happened to Charlie Kirk. We know what happened to him. We know that he was brutally targeted for speaking out, for asserting his First Amendment rights, for his effectiveness with our youth, which uh, the evildoers also target our youth. They want to control our youth. Uh, they want us to believe their lies. They want the youth to believe their lies. And Charlie Kirk brought in light where there was darkness. He brought truth where there was deception. And he was a amazing, amazing debater. I was even watching when he was in England debating. Really good debaters too. He took on uh, whoever wanted to ask him questions. And it was very, very successful in affecting the culture, uh, bringing it back to a Christian based culture. He was very effective uh, in doing that. And he also raised money. He was so effective that he raised money for uh, and gave that money to uh, a Christian-based political leaning, uh, you know, uh, "Make America Great Again" uh, party. That was that's what made the evildoers even really upset. And it went on, because the deep state, the evildoers, the faction, they really have infiltrated, these cartel tied, I would say they're cartel faction, um, have infiltrated into our system, into our government, and they're not that easy to point out because some of them give all the appearance of goodness and have really, when you uh, turn them over, they have none of it. They have none of it. They are absolutely wolves in sheep's clothing. They absolutely are serving foreign and domestic enemies. Um, Underneath the guise of some righteous speech that they make, right? So these people have the gift of the tongue, and they'll tickle your ears. They will tickle your ears and make you think they're so good, and then when it comes down to it, they absolutely betray you. And so you have to look at their records. You have to look at where who's funding them. You have to absolutely be on your toes when it comes to these politicians. Because I've already seen some of that ear tickling going on when it comes to Iryna Zarutska, right? Zarutska. I wrote her name down so I didn't forget it. Iryna Zarutska. There's been some ear tickling going on by people that have no intention to secure the First or the Second Amendment, which would have, or just the rule of law. Just the rule of law, just holding people accountable. Look at the murderer in her case, 14 times arrested, and now he's saying the government made me do it. It put some medium inside of him or something like that. He's saying he was. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who put him up to it. He did it. He did it and he was caught on camera doing it, and he needs to be held accountable. And we have to be vicious, vicious, as President Trump says, like they are in our pursuit of justice, like they are in their pursuit of evil doing. We need to absolutely, with every bit of our might, pursue justice and hold these evildoers accountable. And we need to do it the right way. We need to do it through an investigation, through the law, the trial, the, you know, how the law says to do this, but he needs to be held accountable, and the full force of the law needs to be thrown at the murderer of Iryna. Absolutely, he's on camera. It is it was racist, it was vicious, it was grotesque, it was very violent. And God says, you take life like that, well then life is going to be required from you. So that's why the death penalty needs to be on the table, and we need to pursue it with everything that we are. Um, all of our might, all of our strength. And that's what brings peace back to North Carolina. That's what would bring peace and comfort to Iryna's family, knowing that justice was served. So, to the whole community, to anybody that was riding on the train. And I'll tell you, the people that were riding on the train that did not do anything to help her. Um, and it was a neck injury too, which causes a lot of bleeding, which is very quick to cause death. Uh, like Charlie Kirk's, and we'll be talking about that clinical review. Uh, so yeah, there needs to be accountability, and just like in Richard's case, that they just wanted to brush it aside, but yet there were so many irregularities from the very beginning, and we're a military family, so we caught on very quickly. Especially my husband, he was very quick in catching on with all the irregularities, and then of course all the retaliation that we got, and the lack of of interest in getting answers for Richard, right? And there was no emergency to it. There was no, we got to find him, you know. There was no urgency at all to it. And that was red flags, total red flags for us. So, and now of course 5 years later, we know very, very well that it was also political. um, uh, Richard was absolutely President Trump's whistleblower when it comes to the border, when it comes to criminal trafficking, when it comes to the mutiny that was on Fort Bliss, when it comes to the Walmart mass shooting that the narrative targeted President Trump. Richard was blowing the whistle in multiple places. And so he was President Trump's whistleblower, clearly. And we know, because we're his family, that he supported uh, President Trump. He supported um, um, a secure border. He supported a esprit de corps military, a military that was disciplined, and he absolutely hated lawlessness. We know that because he wanted to be an investigator. He wanted to be CID. He put in his inquiry for it as soon as he could, and that was confirmed to us that he had already put in his inquiry to set a pathway to become a CID agent. So he was all about uh, uh, the rule of law, right? So let's look at um, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Well, the one thing that it really tells us, really, I mean, it's very clear, is that this it was meant to send a message, right? It was absolutely meant to send a message. And what message was that? Well, they might, get on their little high horse or their demon hellscape, and say, oh, don't mess with us or whatever. And we've been going through that for 5 years where, um, you just need to go and hide. You can't get answers for your son, because we're going to come after you, right? We're going to come after you. I mean, we've been threatened so many times. And so our safety has been threatened over and over again these 5 years, and we've reported that. Okay, and it that those threats being for the longest time dismissed, not anymore, but for the longest time dismissed. That was red flags too. That was red flags. We're a Gold Star family, and they all knew that Richard was a whistleblower. um, they all knew. They knew that he was blowing the whistle a lot. So, what is this political assassination of of our son, right? Of our son, and also Charlie Kirk, and the attempted political assassination on President Trump? What do they mean? Well, uh, you know, I don't listen to um, these demon voices, right? I say, get behind me, Satan, right? I don't listen to them. And the news media likes to repeat what they say. They really do, because they are compromised, absolutely compromised. We know that. So, when you do an analysis, what is the message? And the message is that they are scared, right? That we're over the target, that things are being investigated, that they want to divert attention from, just like in the Walmart mass shooting. Um, it was orchestrated, it was bloody, totally bloody, but it was orchestrated to take the law enforcement community's attention away from the investigations that were going on because of Richard's whistleblowing and President Trump's investigations that his administration was doing at the border. Very clearly, with the Walmart. And last night, I forgot to even mention that the Mayellas were also in the Walmart cybersecurity. And Walmart, for their gift cards, they were being investigated because gift cards has been used to launder money. And so this Walmart from the Walmart mass shooting is known for its cartel presence there. And, it's very clear that this was orchestrated. Why? What is the big red flag for the Walmart mass shooting? Where was the security? Where was the security? Walmart sells guns. Walmart sells ammunition. Walmart was under threat. Walmart was known to have a big, Cielo Vista Walmart was known to have a lot of um, cartel activity. Where was where was the security at? There was not one security guard who could have closed the door after shots were heard um, in the parking lot. I mean, where was the security guard? Where were those that were trained? Where were their weapons? Right? And that's why the forensics is so important, because we have information that there was evidence that other guns were being shot, right? Uh, and that's very interesting findings there that we have been alerted to. And the brown tip bullets, of course. So, where is the forensics? But where is the security guards? And we know that Walmart had put aside loads of money for security at that store. Okay. So, So that's a huge red flag. And so looking at Charlie Kirk, he had security, right? But the security didn't seem, well, I don't, the security uh, failed. The security failed. He was a sitting duck. And the clinical analysis is that he was a sitting duck. And he had been getting threats on his life. So security failed. And we saw that even with the president that had a bullet just zip by his face. It was a gift of God that he wasn't killed that day um, in Butler, Pennsylvania, right? It was a gift from God um, to move his head. This was uh, the Charlie Kirk thing. He was a sitting duck, and there's differences between the two of Butler, Pennsylvania, and what happened with Charlie Kirk. So maybe. So the very first point that we want to make is that the message that they're sending us with this is that they are being reactive. Um, uh, that investigators and independent investigators, woohoo, like us, are getting very close, and they're desperate. They want to, like Charlie Kirk. Uh, Charlie Kirk was absolutely hitting the nail on the head, and they're getting desperate. And this, of course, uh, eh, it's not going to work because they just created a martyr. And so they didn't silence what they wanted to silence. And they're exposing their network because it happened at Utah Valley University, right? They are exposing their network. They're exposing it through the death of Cordero. Um, they're exposing their network by not revealing the name of the El Paso ISD officer that killed Cordero, which is Anthony Tony Ray Acuna, right? They are exposing their want for this major crime through the way they covered Iryna Zarutska. And they are absolutely exposing their network through Conal Whetten, the Mormon faction. The Mormon faction. And the Mormon faction is a big faction, and that it includes the likes of Woody Hunt, the billionaire, Woody Hunt that has the tallest building in El Paso downtown, Woody Hunt who has Texas Tribune, Woody Hunt that has a big stake in USA Today. Um, you know, uh, and on and on. Kansas City Chiefs, um, most of all the housing in the military, so many contracts. It's like he runs El Paso. He runs El Paso. So um, this is Conal Whetten really is revealing this whole network, along with um, this. Um, Assassination of Charlie Kirk at the at Utah Valley University. Okay, uh, it's very clear that they are exposing their network, um, and all the yeah. Um, they are absolutely sending a message that they're frantic because this is not smart. This is not smart at all. And what they're doing is they're proving that Charlie Kirk is right and that whistleblowers like Richard Halliday, our son, is right, and that they were silencing, that they will go to extreme uh, violent behavior to silence their opponents. Um, they really are uh, not thinking this through, even though the analysis of Charlie Kirk is really a very high IQ shooter, somebody that has a knowledge um, of the weapons, right? Um, Someone that has a knowledge of UVU, which is Utah Valley University, that has a knowledge of the campus, that has surveilled Charlie Kirk, that has surveilled the campus, that thought this through. This was all premeditated. And Charlie Kirk was a sitting duck. Why is that? Why did his security allow him to be like in a little valley, right? Which is a no-no when it comes to security. Now we have many friends, and of course our medical connections. Rob is retired physician assistant, so looking at the video, this was absolutely a premeditated professional hit. And it was a political hit, and it was for full view, right? They didn't wait for at nighttime. They didn't wait for, while he's walking to the car. They wanted everybody to be in full view with the cameras running so that this would absolutely scare everyone and terrorize everyone when they saw the video of Charlie Kirk getting hit. And they went for the neck. This area, when it's hit, it bleeds profusely. Okay, it bleeds profusely. And of course, that was to make sure it was lethal, fatal, and also to scare people, to terrorize people that watched it, to see it. Um, so this was absolutely a political for show, to send a message. It was to terrorize, uh, you know, and it was really an act of desperation and an act of confirmation that they are losing. This is they're confirming their downfall, right? By doing something like this, because President Trump, uh, he is absolutely going to pursue justice viciously, viciously. He is absolutely going to pursue justice through our system with everything that he has. And the FBI are on this, right? The FBI are on this. And just like we are pursuing justice for Richard, viciously with everything we have. And I know that word, kind of like, oh my gosh. No, this means that we're not going to tolerate illegal rogue DAs, illegal, unlawful, impersonating judges, the judge in North Carolina didn't even have a law degree, right? We're not going to tolerate illegals being the chief medical examiner. We are going to pursue justice at every level so that we can get accountability, so that we can get comfort and peace to the victims and their families. This is including us. And we are not doing it like they're doing it. We're doing it like Michael the archangel. In one hand, a huge sword, in the other hand, the scales of justice, right? The scales of justice. This is with a very calm face. If you look at Archangel Michael. And I should put it up. When you look at images painted of him, he doesn't have a contorted face. He doesn't have a vengeance face. He has a justice face, a comforting face. Because going after evildoers that just want to wreak death and destruction on people, on society, in our country, worldwide. This is comforting to get justice against evildoers. And so you have when you see Archangel Michael, if you ever paint a picture of him, and you have to do his face, it's a very relaxed face. He doesn't have stiff muscles, right? He has a very relaxed, um, in peace type of face. Now, the demon below, sometimes it's like a dragon or whatever, sometimes it's a devil looking demon. They have a very contorted face, very stiff. Um, Muscles. They are in hellscape. They are gnashing their teeth. They are possessed, right? They are possessed with hate and violence. And so they're very contorted. And so these images are very helpful to us. And what we are to do as people that want peace, that want justice, that want to make America great again, right? To want to make America safe again, to want to make America healthy again. Because when you're living in fear, then you get sick quicker. You get sick, you're not healthy. But when you're living in peace, of course, you're going to be much healthier. So, this whole thing with Charlie Kirk, I think uh, oh, our heart is totally broken. Um, our condolences, our sympathy for the family, for the uh, his two children, his entire family, all of those who are his loved ones. Um, it's just totally heartbreaking, and we grieve for them. And the message that uh, we can take from this is that the opposition um, are confirming their ultimate and imminent downfall. That we have done things right behind the scenes, that our pursuit of justice is working, and they got desperate. And so uh, this horrible thing happened. That's why this horrible thing happened, a desperation in violence. Um, so this is, and there's no other explanation for it except for that these are evildoers in desperation, lashing out in violence, and that needs to be addressed and held accountable. And uh, uh, Otherwise, the evil grows, right? The evil has to be restrained. It has to be restrained with justice. And that's why, the courthouses are the most big, beautiful buildings, right? Because they are historically that important to the health and well being of our nation. Um, and that's why they wanted to capture them. That's why they wanted to impersonate those positions. And in order to do their extortions and their criminal trafficking and their money laundering and all of that with impunity. But we are, you know, uh, we've got the message now. We know the standard has been raised. We know that we are at war ideologically. We're at war, and this was a real evil, evil move that they made, and it has to be addressed. Just like Richard's case, super evil, and what they did to President Trump, that they were unsuccessful with in Butler, and then of course down in Florida. And there are common denominators. This is the same group, y'all. This is the same faction. Um, uh, it is, you can call it the deep state if you want. I call it the faction. I think that is really a good evil doing faction, um, that they need to be absolutely, um, yeah, their imminent downfall needs to become uh, a reality for our own good. So let's see if there's any comments. Sorry. Thank you, Danielle, for coming on with your prayers, and absolutely all your love. And the same thing with Anicia. Thank you so much for your prayers and your love. And Laura, they are starting a civil war. I have people telling me the USA will soon disappear. What they mean is whoever, they're always fear mongering. They're always fear mongering. Think about the USA. France just fell again, right? Um, I don't know how many governments France has had in the last 200 years. Okay. We are the oldest country. We're the oldest country. They call us the new country. We're not the young country. We are the oldest country. Our Constitution is so powerful, so wonderful, that it can get through this. It can get through this. And I think that's where they miscalculate. Um, they really miscalculate because we are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And they just can't control everybody. They have done their best through fraudulent health care, fraudulent education, the attacks on the family, all of the cultural attacks. Um, and yet here comes Charlie Kirk and turns things around very quickly with the youth. He was their worst nightmare, right? The same thing with President Trump, goes into Washington, D.C., and in a matter of like overnight, he transforms Washington, D.C. to a very vibrant, wanting to go visit Washington, D.C., safe city. Um, so they tell you all kinds of things because they think they're in control, but they're not. They are absolutely desperate. That's why they're saying the things that they're saying, because they're so desperate and they see the writing on the wall. They see their own imminent downfall at hand, and that the whistleblowers were right, and there's many other things at play. Um, we could be on all night to talk about. They are very cynical, ruthless. Yes, because they live in hellscape. Of course, they're ruthless, cynical, because they live in hellscape, and you have to, the word pervert or perversion comes from being outside of the temple of God. Outside of the temple is the hellscape. You've got to be, close to God. Come close to God, and He will come close to you. So says James, right? Saint James. Um, and so, if we live that way, we have a peace that passes understanding. We're not cynical, we're hopeful. And even in times like this, where we are grieving, where we are angry that things like this happen, we are still hopeful and ready to give comfort and ready to take up our standard, take up the front line and fight for justice, and know that that's what's needed. So they've miscalculated because they live in hellscape. They are nowhere near the throne of God, right? They're nowhere near the throne of God, and so of course they're cynical. Of course, they are only seeing the doom and gloom. And we were told that at the very, very beginning with Richard's case, doom and gloom. And, and I'm like, no, the truth rises up. The truth always comes out. Justice always wins. God always wins. And God says, seek and ye shall find, right? Seek and ye shall find. And he cusses people out by saying, ye of little faith. So what is he saying? He's saying, have faith. Have faith. Never let your faith go. And if you let your faith go, I'm going to cuss you out by saying ye of little faith, right? So he is hopeful. He knows these evildoers and their lies and deception of trying to fearmonger and paint things with a dark picture. But no, that's not reality. Reality is justice wins, that the truth wins. And you see, we never, ever intended to expose the rogue DAs and the absolute chaos in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. We never even thought we would expose and the impersonators of judges, the absolute illegal impersonation of judges in the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court. Every last one of them is just an impersonator, that not one of them has been elected, which is required since 2015. They've botched every case. When this all comes out, it's, really comes out. I mean, it's come out because of us. We never intended that, but, there it is. There it is. And so all of those cases where they've even taken children away from people, and they had no legal right to do that, put people in prison, and or jail, had no right to do that because they're illegitimate. They're just impersonators. It's like Mickey Mouse coming in and putting on a robe with a gavel. They're just impersonators. They have no power, no legal power. And when people start, you know, understanding that and demanding answers to that, all hell's going to break loose in that courthouse. Um, then, of course, we had no intention of finding out that the chief medical examiner, who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, almost $500,000 a year of taxpayer funds, is illegally in the country and not even qualified for that position. And he has committed fraud with the autopsies. Okay. And we have confirmed that. So, and he's involved in this whole faction, this whole criminal group, which includes the Plenitude Crematorium scandal, which involves the Fort Bliss mortuary operations. And that's why we believe that part of our son's remains ended up there. So, all of this is coming out. We didn't even um, intend to reveal that Manny Chavira didn't even have a peacekeeper's license. Yeah, when they appointed him chief of police of El Paso ISD police force, and that now we have so much support that they're confirming to us. that these schools along the border that sit on the border, that they have tunnels in them, and they're up to no good using those tunnels for trafficking, right underneath a school that you send your children to. And now, of course, we have information coming in that they're even under churches. So, it's we didn't know that that was going to happen. We didn't know that the Mayellas, that we were meant to expose the whole Mayella family, which is the family of Patrick Crucius, right, in El Paso, absolutely blowing to smithereens the whole narrative that all of the media around the world internationally was feeding the population about the Walmart mass shooting, and then targeting President Trump with a false, fake narrative, and us exposing that that was false and fake with hard evidence. With hard evidence, had no intention of doing that, but that's what's happened in these 5 years. And so when people say, "Oh, it's cynical," we're in civil war, I would say we are in an internal good versus bad civil war. Absolutely. Look at what they just did to Charlie Kirk. And they were trying to send you a message that they were powerful or whatever. But no, that is a sign of weakness to do something like that. They are sending a message that they are absolutely aware, scared stiff, gnashing their teeth. Their knees are pounding together because they see their own imminent downfall, the handwriting on the wall. That's why you hear, all of this media nonsense, right? All this media nonsense. And the reason why I just went through the litany or the list of all the things that we have shed light on with hard evidence is because it was just an act of faith that we knew that the truth would come out. And God had bigger purposes, even more than that. And so we absolutely know that Richard is a hero. We absolutely know that he was a whistleblower. We absolutely know that he has a spotless record. But then God made it even better than that with President Trump's letter that made Richard's loyalty and courage indelible on National Archive, in the National Archive. Indelible. That means it cannot be erased. It cannot be tampered with, and that he will be remembered always, right? He will be always remembered. Now that we didn't expect that, right? God blessed us so much. So there's so much good happening. And today wasn't one of them, with the loss of Charlie Kirk. But God doesn't see Charlie's death. God sees Charlie's life and what he accomplished in his life and the great trumpet that he just uh, changed so many lives. Think about so many lives that he changed, that they were on the precipice of falling outside of the temple of God, away from the throne room of God, away from ever knowing the peace and joy that God gives, and going out into a perverse hellscape, right? And that demands your children, that demands your health, that demands your mental health, that demands uh, your honor, that demands you have to give up everything. Your legacy is then tainted totally tainted. And we're living in a time where people, only like the elites, ever think of their legacy. But each and every one of us has a legacy. And the evildoer's main purpose is to compromise so that your name is tainted in the books forever. And, this is uh, just uh, so evil. And, and Charlie Kirk prevented so many young people from entering into that perverse hellscape world. And so God sees his life and what he has done. And now he's a martyr, right? He's an absolute. They miscalculated, because now we are just empowered to get accountability, and and get justice for him and his family, and give them comfort, knowing that there is justice coming and accountability right there at the full force of the law. And you see that already less than a day later, right? And this is very good for our son's case, because it is absolutely, Richard, um, is a hero, that's on record. And accountability for Charlie Kirk is accountability for Richard, and for many, many more, even for Iryna. Um, and, so the rogue DAs, and the impersonating judges, and all of the infiltrators, they're the ones that are worried. They're the ones that are seeing the writing on the wall. And I just wanted to give that very encouraging on a day like today. Um, on Yeah, after well, on a day like today, 9/11, when you think, oh, we didn't even get justice on 9/11. That's coming. It's all in God's timing. And one thing leads to another. And we needed to go through this fire, this purifying fire, to sharpen, right? To sharpen us, to let us see um, what was truly going on, because we don't want to hurt innocent people, right? Uh, you know, and how we can deal with the evil that's around us without hurting innocent people. And that's very, very important. So God is, it's all in His timing, and we are absolutely seeing what's going on, and the writing on the wall is definitely there for the evildoers. There's been a real change. So God sees Charlie Kirk's life, and He celebrates Charlie Kirk's life, and Charlie Kirk is absolutely in the arms of God. Um, and with Richard, and so, you know how now shall we live? And that is not waiting around, no. It is absolutely putting on the full armor of God, and moving out in action, raising our standards, ready for the war for justice and accountability. And that's fighting every day. And that's what we've been doing. And this has just really empowered us um, to do it more. And so, that goes to the other stories that we have with Conal Whetten, the FBI agent that's dirty, the dirty that is in, connection with ecclesiastical connection with Leilani Hart, because they both belong to the same Mormon faction. And that Mormon faction is also includes Woody Hunt, the billionaire. It includes many, many more. But see, that's the problem. The connections are being made, and then of course you have um, uh, the announcement that's kind of um, really jaw dropping that James Bonneau 2028 stamp Montoya is a long time good friends, probably best friends with the shooter of Julio Cordero, the FBI hero. And that friend's name is Anthony Acuna. And they are absolutely good friends for years and years. And, it's uh, connections with others. Let's just say we understand why they wanted to keep his name hidden, why they want to keep his picture hidden. Um, the connections are like it's a wowzer. It's a total wowzer. And so just having that connection with Montoya, Mr. 2028 stamp, which is a total conflict of interest. He cannot be prosecuted. Of course, he can't be prosecuting because he's illegitimate, because he's a rogue DA. He's already botched the case. Um, and so, but here he is giving all the indication that he is uh, the appearance that he's a DA, and he's not, right? This is a good example of the way they put on this show. And he's very good friends with the El Paso ISD police officer that goes by the handle of EP Sniper Wolf. So El Paso Sniper Wolf. What? What? Anthony, please explain this to us. Is that a gaming handle? What is that? I mean, come on. And why haven't we seen the body cam video? So that's really important, and in the stories that are coming out, and all of this connection with Plenitude Crematorium, with Beto O'Rourke, and all of that. We are so over the target in all of this, and so I just want to give people encouragement when you're feeling absolutely rightfully so grieving for what happened to Charlie Kirk. Um, and we are right there with you. And there is absolutely a whole year, God says, to give to grieving. People used to wear black for a whole year because God allows you to really grieve for a whole year. And then after that, you've got to put your colors back on. You've got to get on with life. And you can't just always grieve, right? You have to live too. So this is really a time for grieving for what they've done to Charlie Kirk. And in our son's case, we've put our colors back on, and we are living, and we are living, and we have put on our full body armor of God, and we are getting justice for our son. So thank you so much, Laura. My family and I will always have him and his family in our hearts and prayers. Exactly. Thank you for putting up a fight. His little brother, let me see, let me read all this. Well, the second brother, Javier Antonio, and the little big brother my daughters didn't have. We won't fear the second coming of God. Absolutely. Um, all knees shall bow, right? So thank you so much. And we will be back tomorrow. Please share, share, share. Bye bye.